Hello, English learners, and welcome. I'm your host, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Today, we're really zeroing in on a challenge that, well, lots of English learners know all too well.
Uh-huh.
You spend ages studying, right, grammar, vocab, but then actually speaking, it feels like there's this huge gap.
Yeah, disconnect. It's incredibly common. We've looked at a whole stack of material on this.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack why that happens and, more importantly, give you some real actionable strategies, things you can actually do to bridge that gap and, start speaking English with more confidence.
And a lot of what we're seeing points towards shifting the focus,
Yeah.
moving away from just passively absorbing information.
Towards actively using the language. That's the core idea.
Precisely. It's amazing how many people spend years, literally years, on the theory, the rules, the lists.
And they get really good at exercising.
They do. But that knowledge doesn't just magically turn into smooth, comfortable conversation. There's a missing piece.
Okay, so let's dig into that. Why is there this block? I keep thinking of that analogy, like trying to learn to swim by just reading a book about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. You can understand hydrodynamics, buoyancy, different strokes,
You know all the theory.
but you won't actually swim until you jump in the pool and will start flailing around a bit at first. Speaking's the same. It's a physical, practical skill.
Right. And there's this common idea, isn't there, that if you just study more grammar, more words, eventually fluency will just sort of happen.
Yeah, the one day I'll wake up fluent myth. People think accumulating knowledge is the key. Just keep pouring it in.
But that's not really how it works, is it? Based on everything we've looked at, real fluency, being able to actually use English easily in a conversation, it comes from doing.
It's an active process. You build the skill through practice, not just through knowing about the language. Like, you can know 1,000 words.
But if you haven't practiced putting them together, saying them out loud.
They just stay locked up in your head when you actually need them. It's about activating that knowledge.
Okay, so that guitar player analogy fits perfectly here too, right?
Oh, definitely. The story of the two learners.
Yeah. One studies all the music theory, chord structures,
Yeah.
scales, knows it inside out.
Right. Can probably talk for hours about technique.
The other one just picks up the guitar and starts playing, making noise, probably making mistakes.
But actually playing.
Yeah.
And who learns faster?
It's obvious, isn't it? The one who's actually doing the thing. And that's a huge message here. You don't need to wait until you're perfect.
Absolutely not. Perfection is not the goal, especially at the start. You just need to begin. The learning happens in the practice, awkward bits and all.
So if you're listening and you feel like you've studied a lot, but you're still hesitant to speak,
That's probably your cue. It's time to shift focus. Consciously make speaking practice a priority.
alongside the other stuff, yeah. And those first few times you try, those stumbles,
Yeah.
they're not failures.
Not at all. They're essential steps, part of the process.
Okay, so speaking is key, but there's a big hurdle for many people. Let's talk about the fear factor.
Ah, yes. The fear. It's very real.
What are the common anxieties we see popping up again and again?
Well, the biggest one is probably the fear of making mistakes. Hands down.
Yeah, definitely.
Then there's the worry about being laughed at, or maybe judged, or simply not being understood. That feeling that people won't get what you're trying to say.
That can be really demoralizing, can't it? That feeling of vulnerability when you're putting yourself out there in another language.
It really can. But, these feelings, they're completely normal. It's part of stepping outside your comfort zone, which language learning absolutely requires.
So how do we reframe that? Especially the mistake part.
Well, first, realizing that perfection isn't the goal. Nobody expects flawless English from a learner. Honestly, even native speakers mess up sometimes.
True. We trip over words, use weird grammar occasionally.
Exactly. The real aim is communication. Can you get your message across? That's what matters most. If they understand you, you've succeeded.
I like that focus. Communication over perfection. And there was that interesting point about effort appreciation.
Oh, right. That's a powerful mindset shift. Think about it. If someone came up to you trying to speak your native language, but they were making mistakes,
Would you mock them? Or judge them harshly?
probably not, right? In most cases, you'd likely appreciate the fact they're making an effort. You'd focus on understanding them, helping them maybe.
Yeah, you'd probably be quite impressed they were trying.
And that same grace, that same appreciation, is usually what you'll receive when you're speaking English. People value the effort.
So it's about flipping the internal script. Instead of thinking, oh no, what if I make a mistake?
Try thinking, okay, every time I speak, even if I stumble, I'm actually learning something. I'm improving. Each attempt is practice.
Okay, that makes sense mentally, but what about practical steps?
All right.
How can someone actually reduce that feeling of fear when they open their mouth?
Starting small is key. Don't feel you need to launch into a complex debate right away.
Right. Baby steps.
Exactly. Begin with simple sentences, common phrases, stuff you use every day.
Right.
And honestly, talking to yourself is hugely underrated.
Really, just narrating your day.
Yeah. Describe what you're doing, what you see. I'm making coffee now. This bus is crowded. It builds confidence without any external pressure.
Okay, what else?
Practicing with a friend who's supportive, someone you trust, or even, believe it or not, speaking in front of a mirror. Just getting comfortable with the physical act of forming English words.
Getting used to hearing your own voice speaking English.
Precisely. And then there's that technique, shadowing. That comes up a lot.
Ah, yes, shadowing. Can you break that down a bit? How does it actually work?
Sure. So shadowing is basically listening to a native speaker, could be a podcast clip, a line from a movie, anything short, and then you immediately repeat what they said.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Right.
Trying to mimic not just the words, but the intonation, the rhythm, the pauses, how it sounds.
So you hear, "It was nice meeting you," and you immediately say, "It was nice meeting you," trying to copy the melody of it.
Exactly. You're not thinking about grammar rules or constructing sentences yourself. You're just getting your mouth and ears used to the flow of spoken English. It bypasses some of that anxiety.
That sounds like a really practical way to just get started speaking without overthinking.
It really is. Builds muscle memory for your mouth. So that ties into the next big idea, speaking from day one.
Right. This often feels counterintuitive. People feel like they need to reach some minimum level before they can start speaking. Like, I don't know enough words yet.
Yeah, that I'm not ready yet feeling.
Yeah.
But the consensus in the materials we looked at is pretty clear. Start now. Use what you have right from the beginning.
Even if it's just a few words and phrases.
Especially then. It's about activating whatever knowledge you do have, however small it feels, making it usable.
Okay, so let's get practical again. What are concrete ways someone can start speaking today, even if they feel like a total beginner?
Well, we mentioned talking to yourself. That's number one for zero pressure. Narrate your actions, your thoughts, describe your surroundings. I'm opening the window, it's sunny today.
Making coffee commentary.
Exactly.
No.
Sounds silly, feels silly maybe, but it works. Then shadowing, like we just discussed. Find short audio, listen, pause, repeat. Listen, pause, repeat.
Podcasts, YouTube videos, movie lines.
Perfect. And another thing, embrace simple English. Don't try to be Shakespeare.
Yeah. Good advice.
Focus on clear, direct communication. Instead of searching for some fancy, complex way to say thank you, just say thank you very much. It works. Be clear, not complicated.
Simple and effective. And then, the bigger step, speaking with actual people.
Yes. As soon as you feel even slightly ready, find those opportunities. Maybe it's an online English group, finding a language partner.
Or even just simple interactions if you're, say, in a tourist area where people expect different levels of English.
Yeah.
Ordering coffee, asking for directions.
Exactly. Those little interactions build up. The main point is, don't wait. Find ways to speak now with whatever English you have. Overcoming that initial inertia is huge.
Absolutely. And that leads nicely into the next point, the power of consistency. Just doing it once in a while isn't enough, is it?
No, not really. Sporadic practice helps a bit, but what really moves the needle is consistency. Regular, daily practice.
Even if it's short.
Especially if it's short. That's often more sustainable. Think 5 or 10 minutes of focused speaking practice every day. That's way more effective than, say, 1 hour once a week.
Building a habit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making it part of your routine. And remember, these daily conversations don't have to be high stakes.
Doesn't always have to be with a native speaker.
Not at all. Practicing with friends who are also learning. Great. Joining an online group chat. Perfect. Even just consistently talking to yourself counts.
Okay. And technology helps here too, right? Those language exchange apps.
Oh, massively.
Wow.
Apps like Tandem, Hello Talk.
Yeah.
There are loads now. They connect you with people all over the world who want to practice.
Native speakers learning your language or other English learners.
Both. And the huge benefit there is you're having real, spontaneous conversations, not just reciting textbook drills. You learn how people actually talk.
That sounds invaluable. What if someone feels nervous about a live call, though?
Good point. A great way to ease into it is using voice messages. Lots of these apps allow it.
Ah, so you can record yourself speaking, listen back maybe, then send it. Less pressure than real time.
Exactly. You get speaking practice without the immediate back and forth anxiety. It's a good stepping stone.
And setting small goals helps with consistency too.
Definitely. Make it achievable. Like, today, I will say 5 sentences out loud in English. Or, I will have one short voice message exchange. Small wins build momentum.
Okay, so consistency is crucial, but finding people to practice with, that can seem like a hurdle. Where do people actually find speaking partners?
It's a common question, but there are more options than people often think. The easiest place to start: your existing network.
Friends, family.
Yeah. Anyone you know who speaks some English or who's also learning. Even just practicing greetings or asking simple questions with them builds confidence. Low stakes.
Good starting point.
Yeah.
Then the online options we mentioned.
Right. Those language exchange apps, Hello Talk, Tandem, Speaky, others are gold mines. They're designed specifically for this: text, voice, video, connect with learners and native speakers.
And beyond the dedicated apps.
Online communities. Think Facebook groups for English learners, specific subreddits on Reddit, maybe Discord servers, lots of places where people are actively looking for practice partners.
You just have to look around a bit.
Yeah. And if you prefer something more structured,
Like a class.
sort of, you can find speaking clubs or conversation groups. Platforms like Meetup sometimes have local ones. Online platforms like italki offer informal tutoring and conversation practice. Even local language schools might have conversation-focused classes.
So there are options for different preferences, structured or unstructured.
Definitely. But the key advice across the board: be proactive.
Don't just wait for someone to message you.
Exactly. Reach out. Introduce yourself. Say you're looking to practice. Suggest a time. Most people in these communities are in the same boat and happy to connect.
Take the initiative. Okay. Now, shifting gears slightly. Something that happens while people are speaking or trying to speak. This habit of translating in your head.
Ah, yes. The mental gymnastics of translating from your native language word by word into English.
It really slows you down, doesn't it? And makes speech sound, well, unnatural.
Completely. It hinders fluency because your brain is doing two jobs instead of one.
Yeah.
And direct translations often lead to awkward or incorrect phrasing because languages just don't map perfectly onto each other.
So the goal is to get to a point where you're thinking directly in English.
That's the ideal, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Training your brain to bypass the translation step. It sounds hard, but it's a trainable skill.
How do you even start doing that?
It starts small, like consciously labeling things around you directly in English. You see a chair, you think chair, not your word for chair means chair, just direct association.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. Another technique is narrating your surroundings or actions internally, but only in English. Like that talking to yourself practice, but maybe just in your head. Okay, walking down the street now, see a red car, sun is shining.
Internal monologue in English.
Mm-hmm. Also, using an English-only dictionary is recommended.
Instead of English to your language.
Right. Look up English words and read the definitions and examples in English. It forces your brain to stay within the English framework to understand meaning.
That makes sense. Immerse yourself even when looking things up.
And one more practical tip. Try speaking your thoughts aloud in English, even when you're alone. Verbalize what you're thinking about, planning, wondering, and English sentences.
Gets your brain used to forming those sentences on the fly.
Exactly. It feels weird at first, definitely. But stick with it, and gradually you'll find yourself thinking more spontaneously in English without that constant translation delay.
Okay, so we've talked about starting, consistency, finding partners, thinking in English. Let's revisit that fear of mistakes because it seems to underpin so much of this.
It really does. And the material is so consistent on this point. Mistakes are not failure. They are evidence of learning. They're necessary.
You can't learn without making them.
You really can't. Think about how kids learn their first language. It's full of charming errors. From a brain perspective, making an error and getting it corrected or self-correcting actually strengthens the learning pathway.
It's part of how the brain rewires itself for the new language. And we need to remember, even native speakers aren't perfect communicators all the time.
Absolutely not. We stumble, we misspeak, we use filler words. It's normal. So the pressure learners put on themselves for perfection is often misplaced. Keep speaking, learn from errors, move on.
It's that mindset shift again, isn't it? Instead of, oh no, I messed up, I'm terrible at this.
Try to reframe it as, oh, okay, interesting. I used the wrong word there. Good to know. Or, okay, that sentence structure was a bit off. How can I say it better next time? See it as data, not judgment.
And viewing correction as helpful, not critical, if someone offers a correction.
Try to see it as a gift. They're helping you improve, It's not meant to embarrass you, usually. It's meant to clarify or guide.
Right. And ultimately, the more you practice speaking, the better you get.
The more confident you become.
And the less scary making a mistake feels. It's a cycle.
A positive feedback loop. Practice builds confidence. Confidence
No.
reduces fear. Reduced fear makes practice easier.
Okay. And finally, just briefly touching on the idea of pulling all this together into a simple daily routine.
Yeah, because consistency is what makes it stick. Finding even just 10–15 minutes a day to incorporate some kind of speaking practice, talking to yourself, shadowing, a quick chat on an app, reviewing mistakes makes a huge difference over time.
Making it automatic, part of your day.
Exactly, like brushing your teeth.
All right, so let's try and boil this down. Key takeaways from this deep dive.
Okay, number 1, stop only studying, start speaking. Shift from passive learning to active use.
Right. Number 2, you don't need to be perfect to start. Just begin. Use what you know now.
3, find people or ways to practice speaking consistently, daily, if possible, even for short bursts. Use those apps, talk to yourself, whatever works.
4, make a conscious effort to start thinking directly in English, even in small ways. Cut out the translation step.
And 5, embrace mistakes. They're not failures, they're proof you're learning. Don't let fear hold you back.
Excellent summary. And the big message really is that fluency comes from doing, from practicing.
It really does. So the call to action for you listening, do one small thing today, right now, after listening. Say one sentence out loud in English. Anything, just start.
We genuinely believe you can do this. With consistent effort and the right mindset, you absolutely can improve your spoken English. Try to enjoy the process too.
Yeah, definitely. It's a journey. And if this deep dive helped you, please do subscribe, like it, maybe share it with someone else who's on the same path.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today. We really hope it was useful.
We look forward to exploring more with you next time.
Until then, keep speaking, keep practicing, and enjoy learning.